Hello Internet, and welcome to Rex Tactical. Today I'm going to talk to you about the Nightingale, which is a robot that I think a lot of you have been seeing in the Champions League more and more. This is what I would call a high skill robot, which means that it has an ability, it has a lot of things you can do with it, very versatile. And that means you'll get a lot more out of this robot with practice. So in this video we're going to take a look at how I use the Nightingale by going over 8 key tactics. So let's take a look at the Nightingale. It's pretty beefy for a support robot. It has a lot of hit points. It can get to 200,000 or more during its upgrade cycle. It has 2 medium and 1 light weapon slot. I've put a Storm and a Gust loadout on this one because what I want is to have maximum damage per second at short range, and that's complementary to my play style, and I'll show you that later. This combination of weapons does about 190,000 damage in 3 seconds, and that's what I'm looking for. Its ability is called Air Support. When it goes into Air Support, it flies, it goes into stealth mode, it heals itself, and it also casts a shadow area underneath and around the Nightingale in which it can heal its allies too. It shoots a suppression beam every 1.5 seconds. The range of that suppression beam is 500 meters. If it hits a robot with that suppression beam, it will reduce its damage by 70% for a few seconds, as well as do a little bit of damage. There is a legendary pilot available for the Nightingale called Virginia Walker. She would reduce the cooldown time for a few extra seconds. But what I've used is just a standard pilot that I'd already upgraded to level 60. In this case, I like to use speed with this robot, so I have Adamant Roadhog and Roadhog to get its speed up. I also chose to put Suppressor on it, which adds another 12.5% to the suppression effect for a total of 82.5%. So now let's get to the game tactics. One of the problems that some pilots have with Nightingales is that there is such a range of abilities that it has that you don't necessarily know what you're going to do with it when you first take off. So what I've done is organized 8 different game tactics that you can practice, and you may know which one you want to use when you take off, or you may be circling it in the air and selecting from these as you see opportunities arise. So I'm going to go through these one by one. The first tactic is one of my favorites. I call it the drop-in kill. What you're going to do is circle your target and then descend rapidly and take some quick shots. It's best to be used against bots that have a temporary defense like Ares, Leech, or Aojun. You can scout them out from the air and then see when their ability wears off, and then descend and take them out while they're defenseless. When you do descend, keep in mind that as you go down, you move forward, and so what you're trying to do is land as close as possible to your target, and to do so you have to time it and get that descend just right. Note how I stay in the air longer than the Leech's repulse ability is active. Got him. A Nightingale can stay up in the air for so long, and with stealth, it can become unnoticed by a lot of the opponents. That allows you to roam around the battlefield, take a look at what's going on, and pick your shots. And here's the reason I use the shotguns. When I drop in close, and I want to deliver a big punch before they can reactivate their ability. The next tactic is to use the Nightingale as a beacon capper. Because they're in the air for so long, they can practically be used like a Loki. The Nightingale can capture while it's airborne and in stealth. From its full height, position it near the center of the beacon. An easy way to do this is to take a look at the green healing ring that surrounds your Nightingale and ensure that it is inside the entire circle around the beacon. One thing I really like about this special ability is that it has a huge 18-second duration, which means that you will be up in the air and flying and invisible or stealth mode for quite a long time. And it has only a 16-second cooldown, which means that you're going to spend as much time in the air as you are on the ground. And that's not even factoring in the legendary pilot, Virginia, who allows you to reduce the amount of time that it takes to cool down. As with all flying robots, if you take off from below the level of the beacon, you don't have to be directly over the center in order to capture it. That's what I did on this carrier map. The Nightingale can cap while it's in stealth and airborne for 18 seconds. It also has 2 medium weps and 1 light, giving it a pretty good punch. That leads to the next tactic, which is to hold beacons. I've just captured this beacon, now it's time to hold it. When a Nightingale starts a duel, don't be afraid to take a few shots before taking off. Keep in mind you'll just heal it right back. Now in this case I made a mistake by allowing myself to get down to the last stand, but still, now I'm up in the air and I'll heal it back almost fully. Note how I position my Nightingale directly over the beacon so that the Reds do not capture it. I suppress them from the air and then land, deal some more damage, and take off and repeat. When you hold a beacon this long, you may get help from an ally, but even if not, you can create a lot of mayhem and tie up the Reds for a long time. Here's another hold that lasts for more than 30 seconds and fully occupies 2 Reds. Even though I don't get any help, my allies should be making progress elsewhere. I end this hold with the drop-in tactic on that Ao Jun. Notice how I outlasted his flight duration, took a suppression shot at him, landed, and got my shots off. Didn't get him. Let's talk about another element of air support that I haven't mentioned yet. That is the ability to heal allies. To heal your ally, position yourself above a damaged ally and within the green circle. To get the most bang for your buck, do this over a combat zone. Give your ally an advantage by healing him at the same time you're suppressing their enemies. This is very helpful over a contested beacon, especially if it's a multi-robot mosh pit. Want to see me do a video on invader mosh pits? Make a comment below. I think Nightingales make the most impact when you bring them out in the middle or late in the battle. That's when the beacon caps can have the most impact. It's also when the Ao Mings come out. So let's talk about how the Nightingale can help your allies fight Ao Mings. You'll notice that I call this tactic Pester Ao Mings. That's because it's unlikely that you'll kill them. In Champions League, you'll often see 3 or 4 Ao Mings up at the same time. In this battle, I create a lot of mayhem with them. It sure is nice to see Ao Ming parts raining down all around your head. An Ao Ming is a low-skill robot for pilots with big wallets and low skills. Their typical tactic is to hang back 550 meters and shoot at you with their dragoons. A Nightingale can fly back to them and drop on their beacon. If you can capture a beacon near their Ao Mings, you have a much better chance of getting allies to come in and finish them off. An Ao Ming at full altitude is too high to capture a beacon. Watch how this Ao Ming nearly loses his beacon and has to land in order to protect it. I make a mistake here, thinking that I'm over the beak, but I'm not. I do die, but I managed to keep those Ao Mings occupied for 1 minute and 15 seconds. And if I'd captured that beak like I could have, it could have changed this game. Now let's see what happens when you face a level 150 Ao Ming with max modules and SAR rockets. It's not good. The rockets hurt you, and you can't dodge them. At least I took a leech with me. If you don't have a specific goal in mind when you take off, you'll find yourself doing mass suppression. That means circling overhead and shooting beams at anyone you see. While in flight, keep your eyes open for opportunities for bigger impact tactics like drop-in kills, heals, or beacon caps. Make sure that you keep switching targets. The red will be suppressed for 5 seconds and will then be immune for 5 seconds. In a typical 18-second flight, you can suppress 4 bots twice. A deep strike is an attempt to turn a battle around with a long flight to the Red's home. Use this when your team is pinned down by a big Red push. Look at this game situation. Red holds the center and my allies are at mid-range, unable to get close. However, their home beaks are left undefended. I'm going to spawn in and try to get to a place where I can reach one in a single flight. This is why I go for speed on my pilot skills, including Adamant Roadhog, which grants a 20% speed bonus when Red has 3 or more beaks. One of the dangers of a deep strike is that Red will spawn in to the beacon just as you get there. Watch out for Reds that are nearly dead. In this case, I kill 2 of them, and I see them respawn as kids, which is perfect. Then, I capture their home beacon and wait. During a deep strike, watch the red bot display, because as soon as one disappears, get ready for a counterattack. Here's a leech. He seals his fate as soon as he activates his ability. I lift off and circle, holding the beak until his repulse ability ends. Then, I can do a drop-in kill. Now I get help from a friend, so I'll switch to a heal mission and try to keep him alive for as long as possible. I land, and finally I'm killed, but after 1 minute and 9 seconds. Now let's look at the game situation. The 4 Reds are now focused on their home beacon, and the Blues are ready to storm the center. In this battle, they did, and we were victorious. I know that many of you have been let down by your allies in situations like this, when they fail to capitalize on your own deep strike. Feel free to vent your frustration in the comments below. The last tactic is to use the Nightingale to boost your honor points. Sometimes the battle is about to end. Ditch your bot if you need to, and quickly heal some bots in the closing seconds of the battle. Here you can see that the Reds are almost defeated. I choose my Nightingale and locate the nearest damaged ally. Even a little healing can get you into the top durability rankings sometimes. As you can see, I got to the top spot, earning 360 honor points in the last 15 seconds of the battle. 360 honor points is actually a pretty big advantage. It's good for about 100,000 silver if you have the VIP pass. Thanks for watching the video. If you have any comments or ideas about other videos I could make, please put them in the comments below.